Hello, who's your fans, who's your haters, and everyone in between. This is the Crimson Coliseum podcast. Now, today's episode is going to be a little bit of an extra episode to the Six Squires series, as I'm going to be discussing probably the most successful head coach to be an Indiana basketball head coach after Bob Knight retired, and that is Indiana women's basketball head coach Teri Moren. And to start it out, IU women's basketball plays today. They play their first game against, I believe, Brown today. So good luck to them. But to start things off, on August 10th, 2014, Indiana women's basketball hires former Indiana State head coach Teri Moren to become the next head coach of IU women's basketball after former head coach Kurt Miller abruptly resigned from his position. In her 4 years at Indiana State, she was 69 and 57, 41 and 31 in conference play, and was the Missouri Valley Conference regular season champion in 2013-14. So she's leaving on a really high note. So heading into the 2014-15 season with a new head coach, a lot of things changed. So Tabitha Gerardo, Simone Deloach, Sasha Chaplin, Malika Taufa, Andrea Neubauer all graduated. Kalia Holes, Nicole Bell, and Lizzie Pedigo all left the program. And whenever I say left the program, that means that whenever I'm looking on Basketball Reference and I'm trying to see where they left, it doesn't tell me. So whether that means they just retired from basketball or they transferred to like a Division II school or something like that, it just doesn't tell me. And the newcomers, uh, so we got a group of new freshmen: Tira Buss, Cahill, Amanda Cahill or Cahill, not for sure. I'm gonna go Cahill for this episode. Amanda Cahill, Jess Walter, and Moonsterman. Mara Moonsterman, yeah, all freshmen. So for the starting lineup for this for the lineup for this 2014-15 season, we had Laren Brooks, a sophomore guard that led the way, averaging 11.8 points, 2.4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Tira Buss, the freshman guard, averaged 11.7 points, 3.6 rebounds, 3.2 assists. Amanda Cahill, in her freshman season, the forward, averaged 10.8 points, 7.7 rebounds, 1.5 assists. Alexis Gassion, a sophomore guard, averaged 8 points, 6.1 rebounds, 1.5 assists. Jen Anderson, the sophomore center, averaged 7.9 points, 3.5 rebounds, and zero point 0.4 assists. Off the bench was Carly McBride, a sophomore guard, 8.4 points, 2.3 rebounds, 1.1 assists. Jess Walter, a freshman guard, averaged 7.4 points, 1.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists. Taylor Agler, sophomore guard, averaged 3.2 points, 2 rebounds, 1.4 assists. And Lindsay Lakin, a sophomore forward, averaged 2.7 points, 3.7 rebounds, and half an assist. Finished the season 15 and 16, 4 and 14 in conference play, which is good for 12th. In the Big Ten tournament, defeated Penn State 68-63 in the first round, and then lost to Rutgers 52-63 in the second round. Their best and worst games was their best games was a win against number 24 Michigan State 70-51, a win at Boston College 76-67, and a win versus Purdue 72-55. Their worst games, the loss at Indiana State, well, versus Indiana State 61-65, a loss versus Northwestern 69-75, and a loss versus Nebraska 64-67. And it's just first year stuff. And you're kind of starting to see a little bit of Teri Moren's rotation. I listed 9 players, but she usually likes to play around 7 to 8 players a game, usually. There's a noticeable drop off in terms of statistical stats between the player Jess Walter and Taylor Agler. I think just because of minutes. She usually just likes to play 7 players and then rotate it out from there. But it wasn't a great year, but they've got a couple of cornerstones in Cahill and Tierra Bus. And heading into her second season, 2015-16, Andrea Mize graduated. Mara Munsterman transferred to Belmont. And Taylor Agler transferred to Ohio. And the newcomers, 3 freshmen: Lakin Wairu, Kim Roster, and Laren Brooks. And for the lineup, Tira Buss in her sophomore season averaged just under 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists, was on the All Big Ten team. Amanda Cahill, the sophomore, averaged 14.7 points, 8.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Alexis Gassion in her junior year averaged 11.3 points, 4.7 rebounds, 3.3 assists. Jen Anderson in her junior season, the center averaged 7.8 points, 5.1 rebounds, and zero point 0.6 assists. And Carly McBride in her junior season averaged 7.7 points, 1.7 rebounds, 1.2 assists. Off the bench, Kim Royster averaged the freshman forward averaged 4.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, zero point 0.2 assists. Jess Walter in a sophomore season averaged 2.8 points, 1.1 rebounds, zero point 0.8 assists. Lindsay Lycum in her junior season averaged 2 points, 2.2 rebounds, zero point 0.8 assists. And Taishi Towner junior season averaged 2.1 points, 1.4 rebounds, and zero point 0.5 assists. They finished the regular season 21 and 12, 12 and 6 in conference play, which is good for fourth. Lost to Northwestern 73-79 in the Big Ten quarterfinals. In the NCAA tournament, she made the first tournament, the ninth seed in the Lexington Regional. Defeated number 8 Georgia 62-58 in the first round, but lost to number 1 Notre Dame 87-70 in the second. The best and worst games was a win against number 24 Chattanooga 54-43, a win versus number 18 Michigan State 81-65, and a win at Nebraska 79-68. And the worst games was a loss at Ohio 56-63, a loss at DePaul 69-84, and a loss at West Virginia 64-75. And it's improving over the last season, and she made the first NCAA tournament, and Coach Moren won her first of 2 Big Ten Coach of the Year awards. So good for her getting it as early as she did. Going into year 3, Lindsay Lycum transferred to Kansas City, and Jess Walter transferred to Omaha, but that's the only departures. And newcomers, Amber Dean transferred from Dayton, Tia Elbert transferred from Marquette, and then Bray Wickware and Darby Forsman were both freshmen. For the lineup, Tira Buss in her junior season averaged 18.2 points, 3.3 rebounds, 4.6 assists, and I believe made the All Big Ten team this year. Amanda Cahill in her junior season averaged 14.8 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Alexis Gassion in her senior season, the guard averaged 12.4 points, 6.4 rebounds, 4.6 assists. Jen Anderson in her senior season averaged 9.1 points, 5.4 rebounds, and a half assist. Carly McBride in her senior season averaged 6.8 points, 1.7 rebounds, 1.4 assists. Kim Royster off the bench averaged 4.2 points, 2.6 rebounds, zero point 0.2 assists. Rhea Gully in her freshman season averaged the guard averaged 3.1 season, 3.1 points, 1 rebound, 0.6 assists. Amber Dean, the senior guard, averaged 2.3 points, 0.5 rebounds, and 0.7 assists. And Darby Forsman in her freshman season averaged 1.6 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 0.1 assists. They finished 23 and 11, 10 and 6 in conference play, which is good for fourth. In the Big Ten tournament, lost to Purdue 60-66 in the quarterfinal. And they missed the Big Ten tournament somehow. They missed the NCAA tournament somehow, honestly. That was the one thing that was shocking me whenever I was doing this was how chaotic these recent years were in terms of just like who makes the Big Ten tournament, who makes the not a Big Ten, who makes the NCAA tournament, and who doesn't. And just quickly, probably some of the best and worst games of the season. Best games: a win against number 20 Nebraska, 72-61. A win versus Purdue, 74-60. And then a win versus Iowa, 80-78 in double overtime. And probably the worst games of the season, a loss at Western Kentucky, 74-85. A loss at Northwestern, 67-80. And then there's not really many terrible losses, but I'd probably go a loss at NC State, 70-84. But it's still the win total improved and they got fourth in the conference, but I don't know why they didn't make the NCAA tournament this year. See, this fourth season has a lot of departures, 2017-18. And if you're big on IU women's basketball, you know what's coming this season. So Alexis Gassion, Jen Anderson, Carly McBride, Amber Dean, and Taishi Towner all graduated. Tia Elbert transferred to Fresno State. Danielle Williams transferred to UT Arlington. Rhea Gully transferred to Liberty. Lycan Wairu and Darby Forsman both left the program. And newcomers, Jalen Penn, Bendu Yaney, Kayana Wathren, Lindsay Marchese, Alexis Johnson were all freshmen, and Grace Withrow walked onto the program. Going to the lineup, starters, Tira Buss averaged 20.6 points, 3 rebounds, 4.7 assists, and made the All Big Ten team. Amanda Cahill in her senior season averaged 15.2 points, 8 rebounds, 2.8 assists. Jalen Penn in her freshman season the guard averaged 10.8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and made the All Big Ten freshman team. Kim Royster in her junior season, the forward averaged 10.2 points, 6 rebounds, zero point 0.5 assists. Bendu Yaney in her freshman season, the guard averaged 8.4 points, 5 rebounds, 2.2 assists. Kayana Wathren in her freshman season, the guard averaged 2.5 points, 1.4 rebounds, zero point 0.6 assists. Lindsay Marchese in her freshman season averaged 1.6 points, 1.9 rebounds, zero point 0.1 assists. And Bree Wickware in her sophomore season, the forward averaged 1.2 points, 1.7 rebounds, and zero point 0.4 assists. And you see how like they're just the one thing that like if I had to make a criticism on Teri Moren, at least in the early years, is that her lineups were very starter heavy, not didn't really use much of the bench. Because Tira Buss played all 40 minutes of every game. And outside of the starters, Kiana Wathren averaged 11 minutes per game, and Lindsay Marchese averaged 12. And yes, they had only 10 players on the roster, but we're lucky that 4 of the 5 starters played all 37 games, and the next 3 played 36 to 37. The season finished out 23-14, 9-7 in the Big Ten, which is good for 7th. In the Big Ten tournament, they had a win over Michigan State, 111-109 in the second round, and a loss to number 17 Maryland, 54-67 in the quarterfinal. They didn't make the NCAA tournament, but they made the women's NIT tournament. And they were number 4 seed in the IUPUI bracket. And if you don't know how the NIT works, for the beginning parts of it, for like the first round to like the Sweet 16, I think, it's in the stadiums. It's in the higher seed stadiums, so they were number 4 seed. So they had home court advantage for a lot of this. So in the first round, they had a win over. Why did I miss the? Hold on, 1 second. I should have had this. There we go. So Indiana in their first round matchup had a win 74-50 over UT Martin. And then in the second round, after Milwaukee defeated Northern Iowa, Indiana defeated Milwaukee in the second round, 74-54. In the Sweet 16, Indiana defeated the 16th seed in the 16th seed, Purdue, 73-51. In the Elite Eight, which is at Indiana, so they had home court throughout most of the tournament. They beat number 6 UC Davis, 81-66. In the uh, in the Final Four, they actually had it at home too. So wait a minute. All their games were at home. Wow, that's actually pretty cool. Didn't know that. In the Final Four, they defeated the number 3 seed in the South Dakota bracket, TCU, 71-58. In the WNIT championship game, they defeated number 5 of the Fordham bracket, Virginia, 65-57. So a massive win for the program, a massive championship. But the best and worst games of the season, a win versus Purdue, 72-54. A win at Purdue, 52-44. See, they swept Purdue. They had a 3-game sweep of Purdue throughout the season. And then win at Minnesota, 82-70. And their worst games was a loss versus Chattanooga, 61-64. A loss versus Auburn, 53-65. And a loss versus Michigan State, 46-68. But this is their first big tournament championship for this program, I think ever. So with Buss and Cahill on the team, that was the highlight, and that's what led into this modern day success. Departing the program, Tira Buss, Amanda Cahill both graduated. Braywick Ware transferred to UT Arlington, and Alexis Johnson transferred to Marshall. And some newcomers and some names that's gonna sound familiar. Ali Patberg transferred from Notre Dame. Brianna Wise transferred from Pittsburgh. Grace Berger and Alexa Goulbe were both freshmen. In the lineup, Ali Patberg led the way. The sophomore guard averaged 15.8 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Jalen Penn in her sophomore season averaged 14 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 1.3 assists. Brianna Wise, the junior forward, averaged 12 points, 6.8 rebounds, 1.2 assists. Ben Duyani, the sophomore guard, averaged 9.7 points, 1.4 rebounds, 2.4 assists. Kim Royster, the senior forward, averaged 6.2 points, 5.6 rebounds, and zero point 0.4 assists. Grace Berger, in her freshman season, the guard averaged 5.5 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 1.6 assists off the bench. And Alexa Goulbe, in her freshman season, averaged 5.1 points, 3.6 rebounds, and zero point 0.3 assists. They finished the season 21-13, 8-10 in the Big Ten, which is good for 10th. In the Big Ten tournament, they defeated Minnesota 66-58 in the second round, but lost to Iowa 70-61 in the quarterfinals. This is what I'm talking about. Indiana was 10th, but they made the NCAA tournament this year. But when they were fourth, a few years ago, they missed it. It's just weird. The women's sports is chaotic, honestly. They were the number 10 seed in the Portland bracket in the NCAA tournament, and they won their first round matchup against number 7 Texas 69-65, but lost against number 2 Oregon 68-91. And their best and worst games of the season, a win over number 15 Michigan State 68-64, a win versus number 10 Iowa 75-73, and a win versus Purdue 73-51. And their worst games were a loss at Grambling 62-55, a loss at Ohio State 50-55 after the Michigan State win, kind of looking like an IU men's basketball team, and a loss versus Northwestern 69-75. And they were able to get into the rankings for the first time under Teri Moren, being ranked number 25 in January. They just added a new core piece in Grace Berger. Alexa Goulbe is a solid piece and group to build around after winning the WNIT championship game, and let's see how they're going to do with this new core. In their 6th season under Teri Moren in 2019-2020, Kim Royster and Grace Withrow graduated, and Lindsay Marchese transferred to Kent State. Newcomers, Mackenzie Holmes, Chanel Wilson, Jory Allen, Hannah Novoroske, and Grace Wagner, all freshmen. Oh, God. Sorry, my watch keeps catching onto the charging cable for my computer. So with the lineup starting wise, Ali Patberg is still leading the way, 15.6 points, 4.6 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and made the All Big Ten team. Grace Berger in a sophomore season, the guard averaged 13.1 points, 5.2 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and also make the All Big Ten team. Jalen Penn in her junior season, the guard averaged 10.6 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. Alexa Goulbe in her sophomore season averaged 9 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 0.6 assists. And Brianna Wise in her senior season averaged 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist. And then off the bench, Mackenzie Holmes in her freshman season started off dominating. 11 points, 5.2 rebounds, 0.3 assists, and made the Big Ten All-Freshman team. And then Chanel Wilson, the freshman guard, averaged 2.5 points, 0.7 rebounds, and 1 assist. Finished the season 24-8, 13-5 in the Big Ten, which is good for 4th. Defeated Rutgers 78-60 in the quarterfinals, but lost to Maryland 51-66 in the semis. They did not have an NCAA tournament because of COVID, but they probably would have made it if there was one. But who knows? Rankings-wise, they started out ranked 24th with a high of 12, a low of 4, and then ended at 20. So they've been in the ranking the full season, the first time, I think in program history, they were ranked throughout the full season. Best and worst games of the season, a win versus number 5, South Carolina, 71-57. A win at number 21, Miami, Florida, 58-45. And a win at Purdue, 66-54. And their worst games was a loss against Northwestern at home, 69-71. A loss at Iowa, 85-91. And a loss versus Ohio State, 76-80. And once we get these higher win totals, it's going to be harder to find like really bad losses. So there's going to be games that I would probably consider a bad loss, but because there's such little losses, it's the worst by default. But yeah, I wish we could have played in the tournament, see how this team did in the tournament. But they had a great start to the year, and let's start to this new group, new core, and let's see how they improve on it. In the 2020-21 season, Brianna Wise graduated. Ben Duyane transferred to Arizona, and Jory Allen transferred to DePaul. And with the newcomers, we had Nicole Cardano Hillary transferred from George Mason. I believe George Mason. That's what I thought it was, but I want to make sure real fast before I get too far ahead of myself. But I believe George Mason. Danielle Harrison transfer from Notre Dame. Keandra Brown, Chloe Moore McNeil, Angel Wisney, oh, no, Angel, Ariel Wisney, and then Paige Price are all freshmen. Yes, George Mason. I was right on that. For some reason, I thought it was for like I had doubts that it was. I thought it was George Washington. Uh, Lineups wise, starters Mackenzie Holmes led the way. Sophomore forward averaged just under 18 points, 7.5 rebounds, and zero point 0.4 assists. Made the All Big Ten team and defensive All Big Ten team. Grace Berger in her junior season averaged 15.4 points, 6.8 rebounds at 16, 6.8 rebounds and 4.6 assists, made the All Big Ten team. Allie Patberg in her senior season averaged 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. Alexa Gulbe in her junior season averaged 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist. Nicole Gardano Hillary in her junior season averaged 8.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Jalen Penn in her senior season averaged 9.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.4 assists, but only played 11 games. If she played the full season, this season might have been even better. Kayana Worthen, a senior guard, averaged 2 points, 0.6 rebounds, and zero point 0.5 assists. Keandra Brown in her freshman season, the forward averaged 2 points, one and a half rebounds, and zero point 0.2 assists. And Chloe Moore McNeil, the freshman guard, averaged 1.3 points, 1 rebound, and zero point 0.7 assists. They finished the season 21-6, 16-2 in the Big Ten, which is good for second. In the Big Ten tournament, they lost to Michigan State 61-69 in the quarterfinals. In the NCAA tournament, they were the number 4 seed in the Mercado regional. And if you don't remember about COVID, all the games were in Texas. So this was in like Mercado, Texas. So in the first round, they defeated number 13 VCU 63-32. Second round, they defeated number 12 Belmont 70-48. In the Sweet 16, they defeated number 1 NC State 73-30. But in the Elite 8, they lost to number 3 Arizona 66-53. And you kind of wish you had Jalen Penn there. That would have been really helpful against Arizona probably. And in the rankings, they get to the top 10 for the first time in program history, where they started 16th, a high of number 9, a low of 20, but they ended at 12. Best and worst games: a win at Purdue 66-45, a win at number 21 Northwestern 74-61, and a win at number 15 Ohio State 87-75. But their worst games was a loss versus number 14 Ohio State 70-78, a loss versus Tennessee 58-66, and a loss at Maryland 80-84. And when you only lose 6 games, it's kind of some losses. But it's the best NCAA tournament run in program history, and it's a fantastic season. Hopefully they build on this more. Departing the program, Jalen Penn sadly transferred to Pittsburgh. Kayana Worthen transferred to SMU. Danielle Patterson transferred to St. John's. Grace Wagner left the program. Hannah Novoroske transferred to Toledo. Channel Wilson transferred to Bethune-Cookman. And Paige Price also left the program. Newcomers, Caitlin Peterson, Mona Zaric, Kiara Berry, and Caitlin Hose. Well, the first 3 were all freshmen, and Caitlin Hose transferred from Georgia. Starters, we had Grace. This is my sophomore season, so this is my first time playing because like I was in the women's band my first 2 years, well, the first year. Right, well, technically, freshman year was technically in the women's band, but we didn't play at games because we played at games. I would have been there for that, but this is my sophomore year, and this is the first time I'm actually at women's games. So Grace Berger in a senior season averaged 16.2 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 4.7 assists, and made the All Big Ten team. Alexa Gulbe in her senior season averaged 12 points, 6.3 rebounds, 1.2 assists. Allie Patberg in his super senior year, using the COVID year, averaged 11.5 points, 3.2 rebounds, 3.4 assists. Mackenzie Holmes in her junior season averaged 15.2 points, 7 rebounds, and zero point 0.6 assists. Nicole Cardano Hillary in her senior season averaged 11.5 points, 4.95 rebounds, and 3 assists, and made the Big Ten All Defensive team. And off the bench, Chloe Moore McNeil in a sophomore season averaged 5.2 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. Keandra Brown, her sophomore season, averaged 3 points, 3 rebounds, and point 0.2 assists. This season, they finished 24-9, 11-5 in conference play, which is good for fifth. In the Big Ten tournament, they defeated Rutgers 66-54 in the second round, defeated Maryland 62-51 in the quarterfinals, defeated Ohio State 70-62 in the semifinals, but lost to Caitlin Clark in the finals 67-74. I'm going to be talking about that name a little bit here. They were the number 3 seed in the Bridgeport Regional, and I actually got to go to this. I got to go to all 3 games because the first 2 rounds were at Bloomington. They defeated number 13 Charlotte 85-51 and defeated number 12 Princeton 56-55. In the Sweet 16, they lost to number 2 UConn 58-75, and I still think it's BS that we had to play UConn in Connecticut. Still think it is. But in the rankings wise, we started at 8. We got to a top 5 ranking with number 4. Their low was 14th, and they ended at 11. So the best and worst games was a win against number 13 Kentucky, 88-67, because you love to beat Kentucky. A win at number 20 Ohio State, 86-66, and a win versus number 6 Maryland, 70-63, which I think is the first win that we had against Maryland ever since they got to the Big Ten. They've been a dominant force in the Big Ten for years. In the worst games, was a lot at Nebraska, 55-74. A loss against Caitlin Clark, 91-96, whenever Iowa's number 22. And a loss at Caitlin Clark when they were number 21, 82-88. I'm saying like it's Caitlin Clark. They still had Monica Cisiano. It's Iowa, but still, it's more funny if I just say Caitlin Clark. But it's a little bit of step back, but I'm still upset about that. But I got to go to New York and get scammed for $1. So, well, maybe scammed or mugged. I would say scammed for $1. That's a story for another day. Heading into the 2022-23 season, Alexa Gulbey, Ali Patberg, Nicole Cardano-Hillary, and Caitlin Hose all graduated. Grace Wagner left the program, and Kiera Berry transferred to Kennesaw State. We had some newcomers. We got Sarah Scalia, a transfer from Minnesota. Sydney Parrish, a transfer from Oregon. Alyssa Geary, a transfer from Providence. Yarden Garzone, Lily Meister, Lexis Bargesser, and Hannah Sadvuk, all freshmen. And starting out, Mackenzie Holmes in her senior season averaged 22.3 points, 7.3 rebounds, 1.2 assists, was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, first team All Big Ten, and the Big Ten All Defensive Team. Sydney Parrish in her junior season, the guard averaged 12 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Yarden Garzone, the freshman guard, averaged 11 points, 5.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and made the Big Ten All Freshman Team. Grace Berger in her senior season averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, but only played 24 games, but still made the All Big Ten first team. Chloe Moore McNeil in her junior season averaged 9.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, made the Big Ten All Defensive Team. Sarah Scalia in her senior season averaged 9.5 points, 3 rebounds, and 1.6 assists. Lily Meister, the freshman forward, averaged 2.4 points, 2.1 rebounds, and 0.2 assists. Lexis Bargesser, the freshman guard, averaged 2 points, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. And Alicia Gary in her senior season averaged 2.2 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 0.3 assists. And the season, they finished 28-4, 16-2 in conference play, defeated Michigan State 94-85 in the quarterfinals, lost to Ohio State 75-79 in the semifinals, was the number 1 seed in the Greenville 2 region, defeated Tennessee Tech 16th seed 77-74, but lost to number 9 Miami 68-70. And that was just a rough year for Indiana where both teams lost to Miami in the second round. But honestly, I wish we could have had Mackenzie Holmes healthy because I believe she dealt with a hip injury. I could be wrong on that, but I believe she had a hip injury in the Big Ten tournament. She couldn't play the Tennessee Tech game, and she was very limited. She still led the team in points, but she was 10 of 18 from the field. If she makes 2 more shots, which she can easily do, if she was fully healthy, we win this game easily. And Miami made the Final Four, so I think that could have been a much better tournament run. But they started at rankings at 11. They had a low of 12, a high of rank 2, which is still the highest in program history, and they ended at 3. Their best and worst games was a win against number 6 North Carolina, which I believe was I at that? No, I wasn't at that game. 87-63, because this is whenever I got to the men's team. Win versus number 2 Ohio State 78-65, and a win against Caitlin Clark at number 5 87-78. I'm still gonna call it okay. And their only 2 losses in the regular season Was a lot at loss at Michigan State 78-83 without Grace Berger, and a loss at number six, Caitlin Clark, 85-86 with Caitlin Clark making a game-winning three. God, Caitlin Clark. I'm happy she's in Indiana, but Storylines: Teri Moren wins both Coach of the Year and NCAA Coach of the Year. Was the Big Ten regular season champs for the first time in over 40 years. And a great regular season, but with that Mackenzie Holmes injury, it could have been much, much better, sadly. And I'm not blaming Mac on that. I think that was just more on Ohio State. Departing the program, Grace Berger, first player to be drafted in the first round for Indiana basketball, where she got drafted first round, pick 7 to Indiana, to the Fever. Alyssa Gary graduated. Keandra Brown transferred to UCF. Right? Is that right? Yes, yes, Keandra Brown. I'm confusing him. Uh, and Mona Zaric transferred to Harvard. Charence Coley-Jelks is one of the newcomers transferred from UT Martin. Lene Beaumont and Julia Lamandola are both freshmen. This is last season now. Mackenzie Holmes in her super senior year averaged just under 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 1.4 assists, made first team All Big Ten and All Big Ten defensive team. Sarah Scalia in her senior year averaged 16.3 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.4 assists. Yarden Garzon, her sophomore season, averaged 11.7 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 3.1 assists. Chloe Moore McNeil, in her senior season, averaged 10.2 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 5 assists, was second team All Big Ten and All Big Ten defensive team. And Sydney Parrish in her senior season averaged just under 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Off the bench, Lexis Bargesser in his sophomore season averaged 4.3 points, 2.7 rebounds, and 2.8 assists. Lily Meister in her sophomore season averaged 3.7 points, 2.7 rebounds, and zero point 0.3 assists. Lene Beaumont in her freshman season averaged 3 points, zero point 0.7 rebounds, and zero point 0.6 assists. And Juliana Lamandola in her freshman season averaged just under 2 points, 2 rebounds, and 0.7 assists. They finished the regular season 26-6, 15-3 in conference play, which is good for third. In the Big Ten tournament, they lost to Michigan 69-56. Another time where Mac got injured and late in the season and it costed us. I'm still not blaming her because that was on Maryland. That was 100% on Maryland being just bullies. Yeah. In the NCAA tournament, they were number 4 seed in Albany, defeated number 13 Fairfield 89-56, defeated number 5 Oklahoma 75-68, and lost to number 1 South Carolina 75-79, in which we were this close to having a 20 plus point comeback win. And oh God, I would have been obnoxious if we won that. So they entered the polls at number 9, and that was their high of their time there. Their low was 21, and they ended up at 12 ranking wise. Best and worst games was a win against number 19 Tennessee 71-57. A win versus Purdue 95-62, and a win against number 4 Caitlin Clark at 86-69. And I was there as a fan, but that was the weird whiteout with the Fear of God uniforms, which I don't actually hate the Fear of God uniforms. I think we need to have more uniforms. That's one thing women's basketball does a lot better than men's basketball is they have a variety of different uniforms. But probably the worst game season, loss at Illinois 66-68, loss at number 15 Stanford 64-96, and then probably a loss at number 8 number 8 Ohio State 69-74. And I think Indiana got absolutely screwed in the tournament placement. And I think if Holmes doesn't get injured in that last Maryland game, we beat Michigan easily because we had a good lead there. And they just turned around on us. I mean, at least make the lead 8. Departing the program heading into this last season, 24-25, Mackenzie Holmes went to the WNBA draft, round 3, pick 26 to Seattle. Hopefully she's able to play next year. Hopefully she gets a good shot because she's recovering from knee surgery. But she's going to be still with the program as a graduate assistant. Sarah Scalia and Ariel Wisney both graduated. Caroline Striplin, so for the newcomers, Caroline Striplin transferred from Tennessee. Shay Kiezi transferred from Penn State. Sydney Fenn, Faith Wiseman, and Valentina Kadalkova is a freshman, are all freshmen. And these are based off of the Maryville game, my starters and bench. Shea, I'm just going to call her Shea. Shea, junior guard, Chloe Moore McNeil, Sydney Parrish, Yarden Garzone, and Lily Meister are looking to be the starters. Lexus Bargesser, Juliana Lamadola, Caroline Striplin in her senior season, and Lene Beaumont is going to fill out the bench. And they're entering right now at 25 for the rankings. And they have their first game of the season today against Brown. So overview, as of right now, Teri Moren is 293, 114 and 60 in conference play. Postseason record in the Big Ten tournament, she is 8-10, but in the NCAA tournament, she is 10-6. As of right now, Indiana has been in the AP poll for 96 consecutive weeks. She won the Big Ten. Indiana won the Big Ten regular season championship in 22-23. Teri Moren is a two-time Big Ten Coach of the Year and one-time AP Coach of the Year. Won the WNIT championship in 2018. And here are what I believe is the starting five. At point guard, I got Grace Berger. And you could debate who's point guard, who's shooting guard, but right now I got Grace Berger. In her 5 seasons for 2018 to 19 to 22-23, she averaged 12.4 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 4 assists. Four-time All Big Ten team in 2019, 20, 22, 23 consecutively, and was the 2021 NCAA All-Tournament Region team. And she also had 3 triple-doubles. Shooting guard Tira Buss in her 4 seasons averaged from 2014-15 to 2017-18, 17.5 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. 3-time All Big Ten team from 15-16 to 17-18. WNIT Most Valuable Player, second all-time in points and first all-time in assists in program history. And Grace Berger, I believe, is second all-time in assists, too. Small forward, Ali Patberg. I had contention here for small forward, but I'm going Ali Patberg. In her 4 seasons at Indiana from 2018-19 to 21-22, she averaged 14.2 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 4.3 assists, and was a 2019-20 All-Big Ten team. At power forward, I've got Amanda Cahill in her 4 seasons, 2014-15 to 2017-18, 14 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 2.5 assists, and is first in the program history in rebounds. But at center, who else but Mackenzie Holmes? So this is a laundry list of awards here. In 5 seasons from 2019-20 to 2023-24, she averaged 17.2 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 0.8 assists. She's first in the program history in points. She's the 2019-20 All-Freshman team, 3-time All-Big Ten team for 2021, 22-23, and 23-24. 3-time Big Ten All-Defensive team in those same years. 2-time AP All-American in 22-23 and 23-24. 22-23 Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. She was a USBWA All-America 23-24 and made the 2020 and was the 2021 NCAA Tournament All-Region team. So, I think of the 6 Squires to try to fill the shoes of the knight. There's a 7th one that fits them very, very well, and it's Teri Moren. Coach Moren, even though if she's the Purdue grad, she fits the shoes for IU basketball so much more. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, share on all platforms. I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite IU women's basketball memory?